I feel like Wendy Williams in this chair. How you doing? Hi guys. I am not wearing a hat by choice, okay? I have a pimple that makes me look like I have a unicorn horn, and that's not a bad thing, but in my case, it's not a good thing. I'm in a new setting today because I don't know if you've noticed or not in my past videos, but I cannot seem to film in my room without profusely sweating. My room has the worst ventilation of my entire house, so I am just constantly hot in there, and it is the worst. But luckily, I move on Sunday, so I'm sorry if you hear echoing. Oh my god, you guys, this guy Snapchatting me is so hot. So in my last video of the story behind Bitch Please, I asked you guys if you would like to see a video on what it's like to date Viners, and the answer was a bit overwhelming. I think that the best way to explain what it's like to date a Viner is to explain my stories of dating Viners. I know, I'm a genius, high five. So where do I begin? It's a tale as old as time, really. I don't know how to describe Vine other than it's kind of just like high school. So if you guys are all in the same high school, then everyone's just gonna eventually date everyone. And that's how Vine is. I mean, there's a small group of people, and at one point or another, everyone's talked to one another, kissed one another, done other stuff with one another, dated one another. I mean, you get it. There's a certain je ne sais quoi. Does that mean I don't know? I hope it does. There's a certain thing that just makes all Viners the same. It almost seems like there's a reason why every big Viner got big. Most Viners are really difficult to talk to, especially the guys. One of three things happen with Viners. Either one, they're extremely antisocial and it's close to impossible to actually talk to them. So if you're interested in being in a relationship with them, you can try to talk to them. You can be super obvious. You can literally put your vagina on their face and they'll be like, but do you like me? Those Viners, obviously, I've never dated because they're like impossible to date. They just don't know how to talk, how to flirt. They're just awkward as fuck. Number two is the Viner that kind of, you don't know why they're talking to you. You don't know if they're interested in something else. You kind of think of it in another scenario. For instance, like if you're not also a big Viner, you think of it like, would they be talking to me if I wasn't a big Viner? There's a lot of those. A lot of those. And then three, there are a few normal ones. Barely. So this story that I'm gonna tell you is the number two type of Viner, where it was like weird, like I wasn't really sure what was going on, but I was so blinded by the whole thing that I just kind of went with it. I was like, yeah, he likes me. He totally likes me. And this is what happened. The guy that I was talking about in the story behind Bitch Please video, if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below. I said in that video that I dated his best friend, and this guy is his best friend. He's the type 2 Viner. We were talking and it was a strange thing where like we would kind of flirt, but he wasn't like super affectionate, so I didn't really know what the deal was. And I guess I didn't see the red flag, or maybe I saw the red flag, but all of a sudden I was like colorblind, like, I don't see shit. I gave him my Vine password and username. I know. So this guy was and still is a Revine for Revine person. If you don't know what that is, it's a Viner that exchanges Revines with other Viners, which is to me the number one thing that ruined Vine in my opinion, but whatever. So like I said in my last video, I love just fixing people. I just fucking love that shit. So I told him that he didn't need Revine for Revine. He was like, yeah, but I need to get my numbers up. I need to hit 1 million followers, this and that. And eventually I said, okay, well if you stop Revining for Revine, you can just have my Vine password and Revine yourself like every once in a while. And he didn't even hesitate, okay? Didn't even hesitate to take my Vine username and password, and he Revined himself 8 times that night alone. And then he Revined himself I don't know how many times after that. So like a little bit of a red flag, perhaps. On Vine, it's kind of complicated because if you meet someone on Vine, especially a well-known person on Vine, the chances of them living in the same place that you live in is very rare. Not so much now because I live in Los Angeles, but before when I lived in Miami, that was just like non-existent. You don't meet someone that lives down the block from you. So he lived in Tallahassee. I made 2 trips to Tallahassee. One was by bus and the second I drove. Did he ever visit me in Miami? Absolutely not. As you saw in the Bitch Please video, I flew the guy out from North Carolina to LA, where he still lives in LA because I fucking flew him here. And had I not flown him out, would he have flown to Los Angeles to visit me? Absolutely not. There was this one Viner in New York that I was like super interested in, and we had kind of like made out at a party, whatever. I was actually in New York City, and he was also in New York City, but like a little bit out of the city, so he would have had to take a train to see me. Not a big deal. I mean, we're still in the same state, you know? And I asked him if we could meet up, and he was like, well, if it rains, I'm not going on the train. And I was like, but the train's underground. Hello from the other side. And it ended up up drizzling and he was like, yeah, no, not gonna do it. And I just didn't see him on that trip to New York. In my opinion, most Viners are about convenience. If you're like right there, they might make out with you. And if you're not, they're not gonna make an effort to because they just don't give a fuck. And I know that's not just my experience. Like I know so many other big girl Viners who have dated big guy Viners, and it's just been drama after drama. It's just been guys that don't really take anything seriously or just want to kind of say they fucked you. I know that sounds horrible, but it is the truth. I had one guy who went on like a date with me and we kissed and it was all this great thing. And then he had to go on a trip like 2 days after that. And I was like, okay, well, I'll see you when I get back. Like, this is great. And then he made out with one of my best friends at the time on that trip and told her that he had never kissed me. It's a mess. A lot of times as a big girl Viner, you'll feel a little bit more like a trophy than someone that they would have actually wanted to hang out with, even if they didn't have a following. And word gets around like this. You kiss one person, every single person and their mothers knows about it by tonight. Like it happens at midnight, they know by 1 a.m. Everyone will talk about it, everyone will judge you, and then everyone sees you and it's just like, oh my god, hey! When I think of Vine, I really do think of high school all over again. It's just like a replica. I gotta put this up. I'm sweating again. I was gonna do a whole separate video on Vine, but this is kind of like hand in hand. So something that happens to me very often, which is also what happened to me in high school, is if I can't associate with you, like if I can't relate to you as a human being, I will completely not hang around you. And it's not anything personal, it's just, what are we gonna talk about? I've been involved in the social media world for over 2 years now. So I've experienced all the stages. I've experienced wanting to hang out with everyone, and then I've experienced wanting to hide in my cave, which is what I do now. This is my cave. And I'll go to a Vine party and the same fucking people will be like, do you live in LA? Yeah, I've lived in LA for a year and 3 months. You came to my house. Do you remember? And they'll be like, oh my god, no, I never see you out. Yeah, it's because I don't wanna see you. So that's how things are. It's like if you stay in the know, like if you're always at a party or you're always talking to everyone, then you're relevant to them. But if you're not, I mean, you might as well be dead. Oh my gosh. And I didn't even mention this one. The guy that I did the bitch please video about, like he would always try to use me for like my camera microphone. And he once called me to ask for money because his friend's car got towed. And it's just this constant cycle. Like I said, just feeling like they would not be hanging out with you if you couldn't offer them something. In my opinion, if you're not like gorgeous or you're not a big Viner or you don't have something to offer them, most of them will not look your way. And one of the girls that used to be one of my really good friends, I know that she's gone through like so much with this shit. It's just like you get more and more hurt down the line because they just want something from you and all you want is just to like find someone that doesn't suck. For a while, I thought that it would be better to just date Viners because they would understand like what the world was like. And that sounds silly because it's not like we're Hollywood stars trying to date other Hollywood stars like Angelina and Brad. No, it's not like that. But sometimes people that aren't in this world don't really get it. Like they'll kind of just belittle it or really not understand it. So sometimes you just think it's easier to date someone who's doing the same thing you're doing. And now that I've done it so many times, I strongly disagree with that statement. Dating Viners can get complicated because you would be surprised how many people are interested in talking about their numbers and how well their Vines did and what their ideas are for Vines and if that's funny or not. And to be honest, I have really created a safe distance between me and social media for my own mental health. Like I love doing it, but I stopped letting it be who I am because it was unhealthy. And so when I'm around other people, especially other guys, like if I'm gonna be in that vulnerable place with you, like dating you, I don't wanna be around people that give so much importance to social media. Because at the end of the day, it's fun, it's cool, and if you get paid from it, even fucking better. But it's not what life is about, and there's so much more substance that is needed in a relationship. And that's what I've never been able to find with dating a Viner. There's no substance there. There's no real relationship. There's always something underlying. There's something they want, or there's something they need from you. It's honestly just been like disappointment after disappointment. It is some bullshit. But anyway, I just got a notification that the hot guy who's snapping me just snapped me, so I need to end this video. I don't know if this like was what you guys expected, if you expected it to be like a really funny video, or you wanted it to be more serious. I don't know what you guys wanted, but this is like the truth, and it's kind of sad, and it's not funny, and it's just shitty. But that's what it's like to date Viners. It's a lot of disappointment. Anyway, I put out new videos every Tuesday and Saturday, so subscribe to my channel. I love you guys, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye.